And you are now live.
This is Senate Appropriations, and we're taking testimony from the Commissioner of Finance and Management on the governor's proposed 2022 budget for the department. And we're happy that Commissioner Gresham has made himself available to us on such short notice. We had a block of time and we thought we would see if we could get some more testimony taken care of. So appreciate your being here, Commissioner Gresham. Before you start, one of the things that I was looking at is that bill the House is voting on today, that second spending bill. And there are a number of areas where they're proposed spending that seem to be particularly in there were several mental health related, 4 million for housing and some other proposed areas of spending. We can ask, we'll ask the agencies to provide testimony or comments in terms of those pieces of that. But are you planning on sending a letter in advance, or do you have any plans at this point relative to the administration taking a position on any of the pieces of that bill?
We do. And by the way, I was having some transmission problems, so I turned off my camera. We do intend to send a letter to the Senate Appropriations Committee, so you should have kind of our detailed feelings on the bill in writing. Okay.
All right. That would be helpful. I guess should we be asking the same of the Agency of Human Services or are you going to incorporate it all into one document? In other words, I don't know whether I should ask staff to schedule time for the secretary or the commissioners for the various departments to testify.
We typically incorporate that into our letter. I would, kind of as casual advice, I think it'd probably be a good idea to have some of the commissioners and secretaries in to testify on that. There was roughly, if you break it down, there's roughly, I don't know, about a little under $6 million of additional spending in general fund that is predominantly human services related.
Yeah. And it's some of it we just have not any context for it. Obviously, the additional payment to reach up, that's we understand that, but there was some others that seem to be somewhat new in terms of what they would do or the sort of the rationale behind it. So, okay, I think then, Chrissy, if you could do that with the secretary, that's something we can do once we come back. So we'll get started with now that I've clarified that, Adam, we can start. Do you have a document you want to screen share or?
Christy, do you want to do the sharing?
You bet. I'll pull it right up.
So do you want to start down at page 29 of 29?
Yeah, that would be a good place to start because
I'm not trying to rush you guys or anything.
We'll let the House do the first 28 pages.
Yeah. So I typically just start with a chart of who we are. So you should be able to see that readily.
Well, that looks familiar.
There we go. I might add that Chrissy was on this chart until she decided she wanted to take her name off. It caused us a great deal of grief. And we understand that, Commissioner. We understand that grief, but of course, that got balanced with our excitement to have her move over and support our work. So we understand. And so your loss is our gain. I should say also I am joined by Hardy Merrill, who's going to help me out on this. But if you look at the chart, what you see is finance and management is really two departments, call it, or sub-departments. One is the what we affectionately call Budman, the budget office, and the other is called FinOps. And so Budman is what you often see in here.
We tend to be, well, we're inward facing in that we don't have a lot of contact with the man and the woman in the street, but we do have a lot of contact with the various departments and agencies around government, as well as with the legislature. And our job, put simply, is to write and advocate for and defend the governor's budget. For that, we have myself, my deputy commissioner, Ethan Latour, Hardy Merrill's our budget director, and reporting to Hart are a number of analysts. And that's how we go about writing the budget. The analysts are department and agency specific in terms of what they cover.
And you have some new analysts. Is that right? I know that you've had some retirements, or have they? Are there any new assignments or new hires in that where we have the budget analysts who usually are in to monitor the testimony?
And over the past 3 years, there's been really an entire turnover of our analysts, with one exception, Jason Aronowitz, who for many years has covered, well, a number of departments, but including the Agency of Transportation. Other than Jason, everyone else here has been within the past 2 or 3 years with us. On the other hand, I'll say that most of them have been here over 2 years. Matt Sutter is our rookie, and he's been with us for 1.5 years. So we've had a really decent changeover over the past 3 years, but not of late.
Mm-hmm.
The other component of finance and management is FinOps, financial operations, and they are entirely internally facing. I remember once, I think 2 years ago, I asked Ruth Ellen Doyen, who is a longtime state employee and a longtime director in financial operations, if she would care to come and speak to you folks and speak to your counterparts in the House about what she does, and just to kind of shine some light on a lot of the work she does. And I would say she tactfully declined. She just, I don't know, didn't feel comfortable testifying, but she and her colleague, John Becker, oversee the department. Ruth Ellen is the director of statewide accounting. And she is the one, when you guys finally say yay to the budget and it gets to the governor's desk and he signs, it is her group that actually puts it into action. She implements the budget and makes sure that every single penny is accounted for and not a penny more is spent than what spending authority allows. So,
well, Adam, we have to tell you, you can testify all you want and tell us, but when we're told, Ruth Ellen says,
right.
that is sort of the voice of command. So I want you to know that although she doesn't want to appear before us, her comments or her recommendations of what needs to be altered or corrected is highly regarded. So we got a lot of Ruth Ellen says.
Within,
I think we did get her though to come one time.
I should note, actually, you will have in front of you a couple of her comments that I dropped the ball on, technical corrections to Act 154 that you may well see in the next couple of days.
Is that regarding the payments on the internet subsidy?
I don't think so. There was one just technical correction about a citing that was wrong.
Oh.
And there was another one on allowing carry forward of CRF funds that technically spending authority will run out at the end of FY21. Just those two that I had meant to put in our budget and just with the blizzard of details forgot to. So, but these are the types of things that Ruth Ellen does. She's very much, she adheres to statute by the letter. And so when the budget is voted, she puts it into operation, but only according to what it says. So she also oversees our vision system, and she has a number of people who work under her who provide help to our departments and agencies that are using vision. In addition, we have John Becker's group. He's the director of statewide reporting, and it's his group. Their single major task is doing the CAFR. And so they too have a fairly wide range of responsibilities within that that wheelhouse. But the CAFR is what he does. And I often call on when I'm looking for something within special funds, or when I'm looking to see how something would appear on our balance sheet, or if I have questions about format or the like. It's often his group that answers the question.
So my
Also-
question for you, Adam, is who is going to replace the work that Otto did?
So Otto did a bunch of work, but he was he was a budget director for many years, but he spent a fair amount of time on special funds, and that is being done.
Oh, I was thinking
kind of
more
we
about Otto would go
dispersed it
through
throughout our
almost line
group.
by line
Probably
and
hard
make
to
those.
use.
Are you still there, Adam?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
no,
I'm
I
here.
was thinking more of the work that Otto did on the budget. He would go through, line by line and correct, and it was just a incredible exercise in detail. So
Well, that's
he was
predominantly
another
done
one.
in
when-
our financial operations area.
Okay.
And they are predominantly the ones who we rely on to do that for us.
Madam
I would
Chair,
tell you, as you probably know, Ruth Ellen is pretty thorough.
Yeah, Senator Baruth.
just a quick question, Adam. You said the statewide reporting side primarily takes care of CAFR, but I don't know what CAFR is.
Sorry. So that's the comprehensive annual financial report. That's basically the state's balance sheet.
Okay,
We get it out every year, generally the last week of December. It has to come out by December 31st. And that is generally a couple hundred pages. I've said before, if you ever want to know precisely what the state does, what it owns, what it oversees, that is the single best report for any new recruit to state operations. But that basically is our financial report that we do according to GASB, the Accounting Standards Board, and also to show our balance sheet, what we own and what our net worth is.
great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll keep going.
So I was going to then flip up to back to the top, if you don't mind, Chrissy, to page 4. So this gives you a kind of a bird's eye view of the budgeting and how we're paid for. As you can see in the pie chart, the vast majority, almost 3/4 of our operation, is paid through internal service funds. That is entirely financial operations, and about a third of the budget office is also billed out through internal service funds. I think the reasons there are obvious. We serve the whole organization, so most of our costs are allocated out. The budget office is about 2/3 of our budget office is paid straight through general fund. Are there questions on that?
No,
And then,
I don't know. I'm trying to see. I don't see any questions from committee. If you do have any, just speak up.
Sure.
Okay. I think we're pretty familiar. We get to see a lot of you, Adam, and your staff. So it looks like, $7,200 decrease and no increases in staffing, and
Yeah.
this budget's pretty flat and not.
Yeah.
Could
There's not a lot to say on this or the financial operations budget. We haven't had,
you
any
speak about the
structural
equity
changes. And
impact? Could you speak about the equity impact assessment?
be happy to. So as I think the committee does know, we have developed a new equity impact assessment tool. Susanna Davis, the executive director of racial equity, played a pretty big role in that, but it was really a group effort. Brittany Wilson was also very involved with that, as well as Kendall Smith in the governor's office. So this tool is intended, as the name implies, to figure out what the impact would be on equity of any new initiative that we come out with. And we initially thought we would focus on new initiatives, but ultimately, I think, as we've said, that we hope to filter this into our budgeting process from soup to nuts, so that at some point we'll be able to tell how our entire budget essentially has an impact, and what impact the budget has on me. It's something that we take very seriously. I would acknowledge that we did not come out with this tool until towards the end of the budget cycle, so we were not able to put it into use when we were developing the budget. But we have put some new initiatives through this tool, and we intend to use it going forward for virtually all new initiatives. I think it would be a good idea actually to have Susanna come in and talk to you about it. I think it's something that we will be reliant upon in future years very heavily. Hello?
Yeah, we're
You're
here.
muted, Jane.
Sorry. Adam, several House and Senate committee chairs received an email from the Racial Alliance group about a moral budget. And I see this really as very much aligned with this assessment relative to, the budget. And so I think we could really benefit from having Susanna come in and talk to us about the work that she's doing and the use of this tool. So we'll put that
I
on
would
our
agree with
list,
that.
Chrissy, if you would.
I would agree with that. I think she's had some conversations with committees over the past couple of months, but I'm sure she'd love to come out and talk to you. And again, like I said, we're just getting started down this road, but we feel pretty passionate about it, and it's something the governor really wants to do. So I think you'll hear quite a bit more about this in future years.
Okay.
We also, as I think the committee is aware, last year we finished an upgrade of our vision system. We stayed within the same product, the Oracle product, but we just got their latest module. And we are also looking into upgrading our Vantage budget system, which kind of has run its course. And I believe that you have heard about that, or will hear about that as part of one of our technology initiatives coming up.
Who would be the person to testify on that proposal?
So actually, my colleague Hardy is probably the most up to speed on what we do in the Vantage proposal. And I know that John Quinn, who's overseeing kind of all our technology investments, would also be willing to speak to you big picture. But Hardy's most in touch with what we're doing day to day.
Well, the reason I ask is obviously there's that proposal to use it's over 50 million for the IT, and within it are recommended projects, which we really have not taken any testimony. So I was just wondering who would be the person. Okay, it would be Hardy then?
Hardy on Vantage, but John is kind of the bigger picture, $53 million.
Well, I know we've already had testimony for,
Good.
from him, but this would be probably a little bit more detailed presentation about what this upgrade is, the cost, and just a better understanding of it.
Sure.
Sure. I can add that for House Appropriations, John Quinn led the effort to provide detailed testimony on that $53 million initiative. He brought in over several days quite a few different parties to speak to various aspects. I did join the testimony for our one small piece of that puzzle, but it's really $1 million or less out of that's associated with the budget system itself.
Oh, relatively small then.
That's correct.
Okay.
Go ahead, Matt.
Is this page 29 of 29?
Yes.
Oh. All right.
So we,
So-
there is an ups and downs on page 9, but you know, I would tell you that there's not really an awful lot to go into there. It's a pretty simple budget in Budman.
I would think so,
Yeah.
but if we look at your subtotal,
Right. Yeah, you know, there's a small savings in budgeted management that largely comes through reductions in salary and benefits through a changeover in staff. We've also slightly boosted vacancy savings there in line with what we anticipate. We do have one open analyst position. And until a month ago, our deputy commissioner's position was open. And if you flip down to page 10, you see in FinOps, it's a bit of the opposite story. They've got some pressures in salary and benefits, normal COLAs and the like. They had a fairly beefy amount of savings in IT and telecom services. That really was, I think, a result of a kind of a soup to nuts view of data storage and how we go about using and storing our data. And that resulted in a fairly beefy amount of savings that offset a fair amount of the salary pressures. So
the reduction in IT and telecom services, that it would be savings unique to just FinMan or all of state government?
What's listed here is unique to FinOps and Budman, but
Okay, FinMan, BudOps, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
right.
This is actually unique just to the FinOps division of. the
Sounds like
department.
something out of the old Dick Tracy comic book. Next,
They
you're gonna
have
have
those watches too, you know.
Yeah, next you're gonna have a watch that tells more than time.
That's right.
All right, I'd like to spend at least an hour on the all other adjustments, if you would. I'm just kidding.
I'd rather write you a check for $278 that's in there and just call it quits.
And I'm sure the committee would agree.
Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward, Commissioner. Okay,
Are there questions?
I don't know. Let's see if we can pull back the, see everyone. Other questions for the commissioner while we have him? Well, then you sent me an email around clarification, and it had to do with the money that we put in for the 2 months extension of the internet subsidy.
Yes. Yes.
And Chrissy, is Stephanie on as well? I can't see on my screen.
Yes, Stephanie is on as well.
Okay, so basically, it's similar to we're paying for those 2 months, but the expenditure would occur after in subsequent month or months. And so you need something in writing from us to say that that's the correct
Right.
intent.
So the genesis of that was, whenever you put a lawyer in a commissioner's role, you always have to be careful of language. And Commissioner Tierney, the lawyer by training, and her department was just, they thought that the wording in the bill was a little vague, and they wanted to make sure that everyone knew that this would be for arrearages earned or payments for activities in January and February that they know, and I believe the legislature, that was the intent. However, those monies actually wouldn't go out the door likely until March. But it'd be for accruals in January and February, and they just wanted confirmation that that was in fact the case. In part because the bill probably won't pass until the end of February, but also, for the likelihood is that the payments won't go out until the second or third week of March.
Oh, wait a minute, that was budget adjustment.
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
Well, we passed it out Friday.
Right. So it was a little late. I I kind of dropped the ball on this. June had actually pointed this out to me several weeks ago, and I just didn't get it.
Well, we can write the letter.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the bill we passed, we messaged it back forthwith, and so it should be there for the governor to sign.
Yes.
All right.
So this would be, we're just looking for some confirmation that this would be in fact what the intent was.
It sounds very similar to the request that you made relative to the obligations made by December 20th, but the bills weren't coming in until later and getting approval for those expenditures. So when I read it, I thought it sounds very similar to her concern around those obligations, but the actual payment was going to occur later.
Right. Yep.
So Hardy's nodding his head. So, okay, I think we can get you the letter, Stephanie.
Yeah, we'll draft it up and get it sent over.
Or I think even a reply to the email. I mean, either one. I mean, it's not meant to be.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Anything else we can do to help you?
Well, I did submit a couple of technical changes to Stephanie earlier that you made. Like I said, it may rear their heads in the COVID relief bill that's about to come your way.
Okay. All right, but we haven't voted it out yet because we don't have it yet, but we'll it gives an opportunity to put to consider them and get them incorporated in the bill.
Thank you.
Questions, committee?
No, pretty straight up.
Okay. All right. That's great. Then you're welcome to, I don't know, we're going to be hearing from Peter Welch at 3:15. I don't know what the protocol is, but if you want to listen to it, we obviously are very interested in the bill that is about to be passed by the House. I believe it's the $1.9 trillion bill that President Biden is been advocating for, and would provide some, based on our understanding, is going to bring substantial resources to the state as well as to municipalities. So if you're interested in having someone listen in, I think Chrissy will send you the link so you can have that the benefit of the information and the questions that we ask.
It's the Fiscal Analyst's Full Employment Act there.
Well, and the auditors, I guess.
That's right. Yes. All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Okay. Anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to suggest it's 2:45. So thereabouts. So we can take a half-hour break and come back at 3:15 or a little before. And